Hi beautiful people, this video is about digital transformation from strategy to execution. My name is Jennifer Kenny and I am the best-selling author of The Innovation Mindset and award-winning author of 100% Capacity. I also run programs for global teams to help them build their execution capacity and to be able to deliver on incredible projects and bring incredible services to market. So digital transformation only succeeds when strategy meets execution. I've done a lot of work with teams over the years, particularly executive teams, who are looking to improve their strategy or improve their ability to be able to execute on their strategy. And I run programs called executable strategy because to me, a strategy is not really valuable unless it is possible to execute on that strategy. And that awareness of what it takes to execute on the strategy is built into the understanding of the people who did the strategy in the first place. So I want you to be able to learn the missing execution practices that can really turn vision and strategy into value. I've done many digital transformations in my career. I've worked with large IT organizations across the globe and I've been a CIO and I've obviously run one myself. And the reason why I've seen that most digital transformations fail is that they rely very heavily on tools and they don't understand the incredible value that a team can get from understanding execution and building execution capacity as a human capacity within the team. So let's talk about what it means to do that. Strategy is, relatively speaking, easy because strategy is a bunch of people, smart people with a deep knowledge of the business and a deep knowledge of the competition getting together and putting together a strategy for how it is that they are going to grow the market, beat the competition, grow the company, bring new products to market, whatever it is, and how they actually move the pieces on the board to be able to go about doing that. But execution is where strategy invariably fails. If we don't understand the link between strategy and execution, we will inevitably fail. Our strategy will not be successful. We can blame the strategy if we want. Many organizations do that. But what I've seen is the execution is really what allows us to be able to deliver on the value. Execution is a practice, which means that it's a capacity that human beings need to build. Now, we can use tools to help us in our execution, of course we can, but if we ourselves don't understand how to design for execution, how to think about execution, how to practice execution, what it means for us as individuals to execute effectively, then what we're doing is we're setting ourselves up for failure, not just in our strategy, but also in any projects that we are doing to deliver on the strategy. We're setting ourselves up for failure as we try and bring new products to market. And one of the things that I've seen consistently is teams who build core capacity in execution are the teams who will most successfully deliver on strategy. And when I work with executive teams, I'm looking to help them build that capacity so they can actually understand what it means to deliver on the strategy that they're building. And what I've seen over the years is they actually will adapt their strategy to allow for it to be more executable because they recognize that they themselves are an integral part of the execution and the successful delivery of a strategy. So digital transformation is a huge coordination challenge. Any one of you who have headed up either global or national cross-functional digital transformation programs will understand that cross-functional coordination is one of the hardest parts. How do you get all the stakeholders together? How do you get everybody in alignment? How do you help your team be able to deliver the value on time? How do you roll out a new technology or a new product in a way that people actually adopt it and that it is valuable for them? The tools that I have built up and found to be incredibly valuable over the years are the tools associated with really building coordination capacity within teams and teaching my internal customers for a digital transformation how to be able to understand that and what it means to be able to really coordinate with us as the team who is leading the transformation. I've done a number of videos on high functioning teams, and the reason why I'm doing this video associated with the videos on high functioning teams is The capacity that we build in high functioning teams, where we're looking to build a team that can deliver and execute on something really well, is a very similar capacity. It's almost identical to the capacity that we need to build for digital transformation when we're looking to move from strategy to execution. And the reason why I say that is there are 5 particular capacities of high functioning teams. They are their ability to be able to design and maintain and build ongoing explicit agreements. So when I'm launching a digital transformation, I'm going out there and having conversations with my internal customers around what it means for them to be satisfied, how it is they want us to work with them, what agreements I need to put in place with the team leads or the department heads in other areas for our project to be successful, because it is also their project. How do we help them see it as their project as much as it is ours? Practice executional awareness. One of the things that I found incredibly valuable over the years is my ability to be able to go into an organization and see in my mind's eye, or see on a map, I can map it out on a whiteboard, to be able to see the networks of commitments that are happening across an organization. If I have visibility into those, I can see how the digital transformation is either going to support or disrupt those. And if I anticipate that there's going to be a certain disruption in terms of the sequencing of how we're rolling stuff out or introducing new technologies to different groups, what I'm doing is I'm working with those groups to design to have minimal disruption. I'm working with those groups to make sure that the cross-functional collaboration that they may have built up over the years is being supported and accelerated by the transformation that we're bringing to them. Or if they haven't built it, that we're helping them build it ahead of time, so the technology is a support tool for doing it, and they're not relying on the technology to make them better at building trust with each other, at coordinating with each other, at having agreements amongst the different teams cross-functionally. Many times with digital transformation and with strategy, we're looking for it to solve a problem that is not designed to solve. We're looking for it to solve a coordination problem that has to do with cross-functional trust building and cross-functional alignment, and we're rolling out technology that isn't going to solve that problem. It'll support the organizations and the teams once they have a good design and a good understanding of how to solve the problem, but it won't solve it for them. The third thing is that high functioning teams embed coordination practices into their daily work. So as we look to roll out a digital transformation technology and we look to introduce people to that technology, if we can understand how it is that they're coordinating with each other, we can see how the technology is either going to support them or they're going to have to change how it is that they're working to adapt to the technology. Now, anyone who's done any level of digital transformation wants to minimize the amount of learning and adaptation that the human beings who are using the technology need to do in order to be able to use it. And so our user adoption is critically important in that context. But if we have people who understand coordination practices in daily work, and we've technology that's supporting those coordination practices, which I think all technologies need to and should, if we have elements of our technology that are supporting that, we are actually going to enhance that over time. And we're going to be able to talk to them in the context of how it's going to impact their coordination ability anyway. If they have zero coordination understanding, zero execution capability understanding, we've got some work to do. We need to help them build some of that before they can see how to really leverage the technology we're bringing to them. The other thing that high-functioning teams do is they normalize repair and design. So if we're working with a particular department and we see they don't have any of those capacities, and we see that we're going to be subject to them not having that capacity. So in other words, something doesn't work for them, they're not happy with something that we've done. We did a training session, we did a workshop, we rolled out some new tech, we gave them some modules, we did it self-serve, we're trying to help them, or we're run into a problem with the implementation and we discover that something didn't go according to plan. If they don't have practices for dealing with breakdowns and they don't have practices for repair conversations, then we're going to get on the receiving end of that as well. So lots of times what we'll do is we'll incorporate some of that learning into some of the early learning that they do, so that we set a standard for them, which is if there's a breakdown, if there's a problem, if things aren't working the way you want them to, we want to know sooner rather than later. We want to adapt and adjust and work with you to be able to resolve that as quickly as we can. And that involves negotiation and give and take. That's not just endless scope creep. And then the fifth thing is that high-functioning teams, by definition, share language and standards, and they build trust. We're looking to do exactly the same thing when we're doing digital transformation, moving from strategy to execution. If we're the people who are rolling out a strategy or rolling out a new technology or helping a new product come to market as part of our strategy, and we're looking to build execution capacity within our own team and in all the teams that we touch, building shared language, building an understanding of standards, and building trust is absolutely critical for what it is that we do. As you start thinking about your next digital transformation and your ability to be able to move strategy from strategy to execution, really encourage you to think about the execution layer as something that you design and something that coincidentally happens to have a lot of similarity to the design of high-functioning teams because they've built an execution layer into their capacity. I have a white paper that I think will help you. It's called Execution by Design. It is available, there's a link to it down below in the comments, and there's also a link to it on my website, which is www.jenniferkenny.com/execution. Hopefully it'll help you as you start thinking about the transformation from strategy to execution. Let me know how it goes for you as you build this capacity. I'm here to support you the best I can, and I wish you the very best of luck. Take care.